perfect. There is not one scratch or mark on him, so it means that his scuffle with Tundi and his sister and Tumba and whoever else made their way through that sighting has definitely not affected him in any way. His nose is still perfect, his muzzle's perfect. He has got no sign of any injuries whatsoever. Now I wonder if he's going to walk straight towards us. It looks as though he is walking in our direction. Oh, careful there, boy. You can't stumble on the hurdle. It's always funny when leopards look so beautiful as they emerge from this golden light, and then at the last second they stumble. It really does make me laugh. So we're just going to take a little sneaky photo, just because it's the most perfect light. Isn't he looking magnificent? Look how broad his shoulders are getting. Oh boy. It's wonderful to see him again. And you can see he's just coming around the back there, just coming to say hello to Senzo. And now he's just going to creep through amongst everybody, and I wonder if he's going to go to the lodge itself. It looks like that's where he's heading. Now, across the airstrip, look how he trots along the airstrip. He knows being out in the open is far more sort of insecure than being in a thicket, and that's why he trotted across the airstrip so quickly, is to just try and get away. And look, he's moving into that golden light. Is that not just absolutely perfect? You can see him. There he goes, walking off in towards the sunset. Now hopefully he doesn't go into Chitwa camp, which looks like he's going to at the moment, so we'll try and keep up with him before he gets there. Little tail twitch because he's probably spotted something. There's a lot of prey items around Chitwa. You'll find a lot of bushbuck, a lot of nyala, so you might find that he spots those, and that little tail will just show his excitement. A leopard's tail is very expressive. They often will have a situation where they twitch and move it when they spot something. Right, let's keep up with him before he disappears, because he is going straight towards the Chitwa hangars, and well, not the hangar actually, we've come from the hangar. He's going straight towards Chitwa's back of house, so where our antenna is these days. And it's amazing, before we used to battle with reception on this particular area, we used to really struggle, but now we've got a new little antenna in place. It means that we can spend time here and be able to follow one of our favorite little boys. And there he is, crossing the road. Isn't this magical, guys? And the light is just perfect for him at the moment. Oh, but he is really going to go into their camp at this stage, so we're not going to be able to follow him, I don't think, for much more than about 5 minutes. Hopefully it means that he's going to come out on the other side and go towards Chitwa Dam itself, although he seems to be moving. Oh, I don't know where he's going to go from here. It might be a long period until we're able to find him. He's busy sniffing around, so maybe he's caught the scent of something else. Hopefully it will mean that he's going to lie down at some point and just rest, and we'll still be able to view him. But it looks as though he's going to go deeper into the lodge, which is unfortunate for us, because we can't follow him any further than where we are now. So it might be just a brief glimpse of our little prince. Look how he stopped. He might have seen somebody. There's actually staff that walk around in this area. This is the back of house, like I say, so this is where the staff is, and where I actually used to live is just to the right of where he is now. And this was quite a common thing for us. We often used to have leopards walking around, but it used to be Tundi back in the day, and Mvula. Those were the two that we used to see around Chitwa Lodge a lot. I remember having Tundi once walk into my bedroom, which was quite an interesting experience. She, I think, got the same fright as what I did. Oh, he's lying down for us. Perfect. So let's try and get around quickly and see if we can't get a better view of him now that he's decided to lay down. As though he's just settled in a nice past is going to be perfect to be able to see him and to be able to kind of camouflage if there is potentially any prey animal here. It's amazing actually how well he does blend in now. So I'm just going to try and turn. Senzo, you just tell me when you get a nice gap, but I think from where I am now should be good. I'm just going to come around this way. Thank you, Hosanna, for stopping. Oh, he tried to go after a little button quail. You silly boy. That's not enough food for you. You're a growing lad. You need to get something bigger than a button quail. But there we go. Look at that. Doesn't he just look so majestic these days? And his eyes almost seem as though they're going a deeper orange day by day. Virginia, you want to know how often Hosana is with Shongile and how is she after the fight with Thandi? The answer to the second part of that question is we have no idea. We have not seen Shongile since that fight. We don't know how she is. The tracks, there was lots of tracks for females all over the place, so I'd imagine that she's okay, that she's been able to move through. Where are you walking? Lots of stuff in your face. You can see how he's closing his eyes as he walks. You can see how he just comes right past the vehicle, just looking up at us. That's the edge of the car. And you're going to just sniff around the tires, and there he goes. So we don't know how Shongile is. We've got no idea at the moment what her condition is. We haven't seen her since that fight, but hopefully she's okay, given that we haven't found any tracks or any signs of a limping animal or anything like that in that area. The second part of your question, or the first part, the second answer to your question, is that how much time they spent together is a complete mystery at the moment. I know that they did spend quite a lot of time earlier in the year, just after Karula's disappearance. They spent a lot of time together on Little Gowrie. Since then, it seems to be less and less and less time. And in fact, the Saturday last week was the first time we'd seen them together in about 3 months, as far as I know. So they really don't spend much time together like they used to at all. And this is going to be commonplace. They are going to separate as siblings. Now, unfortunately, our little boy seems as though he's going to go and fix some cars at Chitwa because he's walking straight into the workshop at the moment. And so while we try and figure out how we're going to keep visual of him, let's go to Byron, who I believe has a playful elephant just like the playful Hosana.
Oh no, well, it sounds like Hosana is throwing a spanner in the works. Them going into the workshop. Anyway, we've got a wonderful herd of elephant very close to us now. Have a look, there's a young one just coming out of the drainage next to us. And Kirsten, all the way in the Mara, was saying my joke was amazing. Thank you, Kirsten. Oh, I love having these ellies so close to us. Jackie, the elephants don't like any predator around in general, so they would get upset if they smelt a leopard, especially lions. I've seen elephants chase lions many times before, but if there's a leopard around, if they pick up on his scent, then they would definitely get a little upset and probably chase him. But leopards are clever. They're a lot more elusive than lions, and if they see or hear elephants, they'll either lay low and hide, or they'll just disappear, and they'll move away from the elephant without being seen. I'm scanning the trees while we're sitting with the elephant, just trying to see if I can't spot any interesting little birds for us too. This big female that you can see there now, she walked right past us. She was right behind the vehicle when we first got here, but luckily not fazed by us. She actually shook her head at us, but she didn't seem aggressive. I think she knew that the youngster was coming up behind her, so she just wanted to make sure that we didn't get any closer or get in the way of that young elephant that was heading up to the mother. I'm just going to jump on the radio here quickly. Mike and Taxi, if you copy, Taylor went past this morning that hyena den is still active. I think there's some new cubs around there apparently, so worth maybe having a look. Now it sounds like Tristan still has visual of that leopard. Let's go and have a look.
Well, Byron, I'm not going to even comment on that. I think you know what rabbit hole you have just slipped down, but let's not go that route. Now, our little Hosana has been almost like a circus performer. He's been up and down trying to chase a squirrel that is in the roof of the building that he's up against at the moment. So he's sitting right on the wall and he keeps seeing a squirrel that's running up and down on the rafters, alarm calling at him. So he's now sitting inside that thicket. So there he is over there, and he's busy watching the squirrel inside the roof and catching flies. He's not a one-trick pony as a Hosana. He can do many things. It's been seriously funny watching him trying to find the squirrel in amongst the rafters and trying to chase it where there's no way he can jump on and actually get it. So it's been highly entertaining to watch. Now I'm going to try and keep up with him because he's going through. I'm hoping he's not going to turn actually into the lodge itself. I'm hoping that he will just carry on and head down towards the dam. It would be really nice if that is the case, because the lodge itself, although it seems like he's going to do it, yes, he's going to go inside the lodge. He's going to go look at our handiwork at the new tower and the mast that's been put up. There you go. You can see him walking inside the workshop. Where are you going, young man? So this is now into the workshop itself to go and see what's going on. So he's going to go and investigate the diesel tanks now. There we go. That's the diesel tanks where they fill up the vehicles. And just around the corner is actually where all the cars park. So he's now going to give somebody a rather large fright, because just beyond those diesel tanks is the first set of rooms for some of the staff. So I mean, imagine somebody's about to get a rather nasty surprise as they walk outside of their room. So I don't know where we're going to go from here, because he's now kind of gone that direction, which means I'm going to try and actually just loop around, because there is another exit to this particular area, and I'm hoping that what he's going to do is decide to go all the way through and we'll be able to see him on the other side. Now it just goes to show you just how relaxed these little royal cubs are, that they can move around just inside these kind of places and not really worry too much about what's going on. You can hear birds and monkeys all going crazy. And so while we try and find Hosana again in amongst the buildings, let's go across to Jamie, who I think doesn't have any such problem with her lions in the plains of Africa.
Not at all. In fact, I don't think I've had that. Actually, no, I did. I did have that exact problem weeks ago during Earth Live. We were following lionesses and they went into a camp. But Scott and I didn't realize that we were in a camp. Listen, sometimes it's like being out in Mars, out here in the middle of the night. There's no stars, you can't tell your direction, you're following an animal, you've got a rough idea, but you don't know where you are. And we realized quite late that just how close we were, and we had to sort of scurry back out very quietly. So I have had that problem. Lost the lions completely though, which is, I'm hoping, what's not going to happen to Tristan. Now if you look across to the north of us, to the northwest of us, oh look, no, don't look there, look there. Don't look at the weather, look at the jackal. That's much more interesting. I was about to say there's a reason that we need to start running for home, but it's far more interesting to watch the jackal as it picks its way slowly, carefully and bravely towards the wildebeest carcass. I know this jackal. I have seen the pair of them. They live around here. I've seen them pretty much every single day. I want to find their den site. And I've seen one of them nearly get caught by a lion. You checking up in the tree to see there's no lions there. That's a clever approach. Or no vultures, perhaps. Come on, you could do it. He's fast asleep. I promise you, he won't even notice. He really won't even care. That's not true, of course. He might get up and chase the jackal away just because, even though he doesn't want to eat. What is in the tree that jackal keeps looking up at? Nothing. Just making sure. Come on, you can do it, it's okay. He's asleep. It's the tail in the way, drat. That wasn't very determined of you. This is why jackals manage as well as they do. Combination of caution and bravery. Monique, I don't think the jackal has pups, because I think we would have found the den by now. But I do think it's a possibility in the future that we could actually have a jackal den site somewhere where we can actually show you what jackal pups look like. That would be absolute first prize. I would love to be able to show you jackal puppies. They are so fluffy and so sweet. I can't work out what it is that's making this jackal nervous in the tree. If it's just the fact that it's blowing in the wind, if there is a stick that is dead that looks like it might fall on its head. But I don't doubt that that's what's worrying it. Lion moved. And jackal did too. Me? No, I wasn't sniffing your food, no. Got the wrong guy. I was just... Oh, okay, you're back to sleep again. Okay, maybe I can go and steal a little bit of food. Not worth the risk. Or is it? James, I'm happy to hear that you're happy. You've had leopard, now you've had a jackal. Jackal trying to sneak up on the lion. Why are you... No, you silly twit, that's the lion. You don't want to go there. You're just checking that he's fast asleep. He's asleep, I promise. Okay. We're going to have to start running home. Unfortunately, the gate's going to close shortly, and there is a storm rapidly approaching us. The wind is now picking up. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, we're going to have to leave the tale of the jackal and the lion for another Aesop Fable day. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. For now, I'll say farewell, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your sunset safari with Byron and Tristan.
Now we've just moved away from those elephant. They moved off into the thicket. I actually think there might still be one or two ahead of us. We'll see. They might pop up. Oh, there we go. There's a female with a youngster. Oh, wonderful. So it feels quite chilly now. Completely different to yesterday afternoon. I couldn't believe how warm it was. Even this time of the day, it was very, very warm. Oh, look at that. Female resting her trunk on the ground. Elephants often do that. They'll just rest their trunk on the ground. And that youngster, the young one, is busy suckling at the moment. They just stopped. There it goes again. Says chasing the birds. And that little elephant just turned and chased the francolin away. There we go, you can see it suckling, or trying to at least. Oh, these young elephants have got such characters. Actually a beautiful sunset at the moment too. We've just got a bit of a silhouette view, some trees. What do you think there, Seb? What does that look like through there? Beautiful glow with a little bit of the sun sneaking at the back. But just the colour is spectacular. Miss Lynn, you asked if or when I drive from Johannesburg all the way to Djuma, do I see animals in the road? No, the only animals that you would see along the way are cattle and goats and possibly sheep from rural communities that you pass through in different areas, but no animals, no wild animals, at least up until you get into the Greater Kruger, and then obviously you'll start seeing some animals. But the road from Johannesburg all the way up. Well, we drive from Johannesburg towards Hoedspruit, and that's the nearest town to us, the major town. And then from Hoedspruit, it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Almost 2 hours drive from there back into the game reserve to Djuma. But like I said, in certain areas that we pass through, you might see cattle and goats. That's about it in the rural areas, but no wild animals. Let's see. We now need to try find an owl. One of the little ones. We saw a barred owlet yesterday, but or was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, I think. But it was quick and it flew away before we could show you a little barred owlet. I know Tristan saw a pearl spotted owlet, I believe it was earlier. So we will try and find another one. I was very happy to see that giant eagle owl earlier. Okay, now hang on a second. Now Tristan says apparently, no wait, now I'm a little confused actually. Oh, there's a vehicle in front of us with some more elephant. I'm just going to stop here. I don't want to push these elephants, especially if that vehicle is there. So just being a little bit sensitive so we don't... Oh, hang on, let's go across to Tristan quickly. He's got something.
So Hosana has run and he's really very close to Nyala. There he is there, and the Nyala's on the other side of the car. So there's the Nyala. You can see they're very close. Now the Nyala's seen something, whether it's going to react or it hasn't seen... No, there we go. The Nyala's gone. Hosana, you're a bit too brave, my boy. You came out too much. You can see he's a bit confused now by all of this and is now sitting and just watching the Nyala run off. Sorry, boy. It was close though. Well done. You got into a good position at least, and you can see how he actually reacted using our vehicle, which is quite interesting. That's behavior that he must have learnt already from Karula. That's how he knows that he must try and get behind some sort of object to be able to hunt. So very clever already. Well done. Now, I'm just trying to get rid of about 4 million buffalo thorns that are in my steering wheel at the moment so that I don't get thorns in my hand, because we went through some horrible thickets. I have probably a whole buffalo thorn branch in my back as well at the moment as I try to keep up with this little man as he moves around through this thicket. So I'm going to try and just get round again. Tulan, who's 5 years old. Tulan, you want to know, will Hosana be in the naughty corner or be in trouble if he goes to where people live? Well, Tulan, here in this part of the world, no, because everybody here knows that we live around wildlife. Careful there, Senzo. We live around wildlife, and this is their home before it was our home. And so we know that these animals do walk around here, and we're aware of it. And if they come through, we just give them their space. And as you can see with Hosana, is he didn't stay long. He kind of went through and looked around, sniffed around, and then he left. So it's not a big problem for him. He doesn't mind, and us as people, we don't mind if he's around. As long as he doesn't try and go into anywhere and try and hurt anybody, it's not a problem at all. If he starts to get a bit angry with the people and tries to chase them and eat them, then yes, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. But for now, he's not in any trouble whatsoever. Matthew, you're wondering if yelling would provoke a wild leopard if you encountered it. Matthew, most certainly it would. Leopards are animals that rely on their camouflage to be able to stay hidden, and so when you come along, there he goes, trotting up the mound. Are you going to sit there? Oh, look at this, guys. Look at that sunset and the silhouette of Hosana on top. Isn't that just beautiful? Look at that. Wow, guys, that is so special. Now he's going to sit there. This is so cool. Hosana, you are posing, my boy. That is amazing. So he's just sitting on top of the mound, taking it easy, gazing upon the sunset. Now, getting back to the question, in terms of yelling, if you did yell, you're going to make this animal a lot more wary of you and a lot more nervous, and that's not going to help you in any way whatsoever. So it's better not to be yelling. It's better to try and just hold your ground and to try and just walk back slowly, stay nice and silent, avoid eye contact, and that should be the best way to get yourself out of a problem when it comes to a leopard. But isn't this special, guys? How cool is this? Like I say, it's not every day you're going to get sunset. Absolutely special. That is the most amazing thing to see. Oh, and it was just a brief glimpse, and down he goes again. But that was so cool. It's, like I say, just perfectly lined up with this termite mound to be able to see that. And I'm going to try and keep up. Mike is calling me on the radio as well, so I need to answer him so he can find us and be able to with us. Mike, if you copy me, you need to come from Chitwa Dam Wall side, come through that crossing on the southern side of the dam wall, and then I'm just going now west in the block towards the cut line. No, Mike, you need to come south of the dam wall. So come south as though you're going up towards that open area off the airstrip. And then once I get your audio, I'll let you know. But you should see me from the road. So there we go. We've got Mike on his way here, which is good news. So we've helped him. But this area what we're about to go through is going to be very difficult. To keep up with Hosana through here is not easy. I've followed a few different leopards. This used to be a favorite of Tundi, Wabayiza, and even Safari. Karula's mom used to spend a lot of time in this area. So I've done this store for us. Now, Meg told me I need to, well, not need to, but that I can link away, but I didn't copy who. So either you're going to get Biceps Byron or you're going to get Petite Jamie. Either one, I'm sure you'll be happy to see.
Sorry, you got me. Now, I spotted a pearl-spotted owlet. Unfortunately, it flew from one tree into a thick tree, and I can't find it now. But at least they're getting active now, these little owls. So maybe we find another one for you. I'm going to scan very carefully. Can't believe how that young leopard, actually I can believe how that young leopard is so comfortable with walking through the camp. I remember when I was working at Londolozi, we had a young leopard that used to come into the camp regularly at night and walk straight through the camp, wasn't phased, would often see people and just kind of lie down. Very similar to young Hosana. I think these young male leopards, when they grow up, once they, we track and find them, and they get used to people on foot from time to time. And then I mean, it's funny, what happened was that older leopard, or that young leopard, once it got older, then moved away from camp, and we didn't really see it around camp anymore. So I wonder if Hosana will do the same. But for the moment, he's still in that phase of exploring. There's a beautiful magpie shrike that just flew across from us. There we go. Let's see if we can get it. It's a silhouette of one. There we go, Seb. There's another bird to add to the list. The magpie shrike. So as I was saying with that young leopard, I think with him being just so curious and inquisitive at the moment. He is exploring, and I think that's why he's comfortable with going into the camp. He's kind of used to people, but again, you should always be very cautious and very careful. If you do come on a safari and there's a leopard near a camp, always be careful. Don't think you can just walk close to it or try and follow it, because they are wild animals, and leopards are unpredictable and they are powerful animals, so always be very, very careful. But let's head back to Tristan, I think, who's still got a brief view of that young male leopard.
We do, Byron, but unfortunately he's heading right towards the Little Gowrie Chitwa cut line, so our chance of staying with him for too much longer is severely at risk at the moment, unless he decides to turn a little bit more south. If he keeps the direction he's going, we won't have him, unfortunately, for too much longer. So just going to try and keep up with him. It's difficult to see him now. It's also getting to that light where the spotted coat completely to be jumping up onto there. Now, I believe a lot of you did some screenshots of Hosana, and well, how can we blame you? That was just so beautiful to see with him on top. It looks like he's going to go up this termite mount too, so let's try quickly get in here, Senzo. Don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to try. There we go. Sorry, trees. Luckily, most of these are dead, and a lot of them are trees that grow fairly quickly, so there's a lot of sickle bush in this area and buffalo thorn, both of which are fairly fast growing. Oh no, is that buffalo thorn in the way, Senzo? Is that okay? No, it's okay. There we go, at least he stopped for 5 seconds so we can have a look, and you see he's sniffing around. I wonder how much time he's been spending here. It's interesting because this is still deep in Tingana's territory. There's no other young males that have been pushing up this way. This used to be where Tamba used to hang out, so it's almost like Hosana and Tamba have swapped roles recently. Hosana has come to Chitwa and Tamba to Djuma, which we're not complaining, because at least we can see both of them still on a fairly regular basis, so happy about that. Now, are you going to lie down, or are you on hunting mission? I think he's just hungry, so he's looking around. He's not exactly empty, and he's not as though he's looking very skinny. Oh, you perfect cap, well done. Now let's just get into position that we can actually see him front on, because he's lying ever so perfectly for us. Sorry, little Hosana, we're just going to creep around like this. Alright, Senzo, just got to try and squeeze through this little gap. There we go. Senzo, how's that? Isn't that wonderful? Now he's at least gone on top of the mound and is now relaxing perfectly. And you can see that he's starting to look better and better, and he's starting to get bulky. Yes, we're talking about you. Wow. And look at his eyes. His eyes are still getting, like I was saying earlier, they looked so orange in that sunset, but there's quite a lot of green in them. If you see, just in and around the pupil there's a little bit of a blue-green hue, and then that orange outer ring. And the pupils are slowly but surely getting bigger. Oh, big yawn. Nice, healthy white teeth for a young male in good condition. Very nice. So, Chitty Chatty Meg, you want to know if all leopards have pink noses, or are some of them black? Now, Chitty Chatty Meg, this is an interesting one, because you'll hear a lot of guides say that a pink nose means a young animal. It's not necessarily true. If you take Hosana and Shongile, you'll see Shongile's nose is pretty black already, whereas Hosana's is quite pink. Now, most of the time, young animals or young cats will have pink noses, so lion and leopard, and you'll find that their noses do have quite a pink hue to them. But there will be some that will carry their pink nose all the way through their life. If you look at Shadow, she's got a very pink nose. Kwatile also had a pink nose, and you'll see that Hosana's is still quite pink at the moment too. Go ahead, Mike. So I'm just trying to get Mike into this sighting. No, Mike, you need to come south onto that road that's got the power line. So Vessel Drive, where you're north of where I am now. If you come onto the power lines road, you'll see me from the road. He's just gone static on a termite mound. So he's just looking around, typical young male, just like Tumba, checks around all over the place, sees what's happening, looks up into the trees, see if there's anything that he can see from that area. So he's a typical youngster in that regard. Now, hopefully he's going to settle a little bit here. He's starting to yawn and he's making a few sort of grooming motions, which generally actually means that he's not going to be too settled. When you see cats yawning, it normally is a sign that they are going to start moving, so I don't think he's going to be down for too long. Hopefully he will stay for us for the rest of the drive so that we can enjoy his presence, because it's so nice to spend time with him, and I'm surprised that nobody else is with us. It's just us on our own. Mike is coming now, like I say, from Cheetah Plains, but otherwise it's just us all by ourselves, which is fantastic. It's the best thing to spend time with a leopard on your own. You feel as though you have a very intimate experience when you are with the leopard by itself. But you can see looking around all over the place, very alert, very aware, and he needs to be, especially when he's pushing into areas that he hasn't spent too much time. Cindy, you want to know how old will Hosana be when he tries to set up a territory? Well, Cindy, that's obviously up to the male leopards in this area. So if we find like Tingana gets hold of him early, you might find he gets pushed out and then he's nomadic for a while until he finds himself a territory, or he could be like Quarantine and be able to get himself a territory fairly quickly. So we'll find with Quarantine, he was able to get himself in and early, and he's now a dominant male already at his young age. So it just depends on the density of the males within the area, but you're looking at more than likely around 4 to 5 years old. That's generally when they start looking for a territory. Some leopards are unlucky and they only get one by 6 years old. Others get unlucky and only get one at 6 years old. Others get lucky and will get a territory already when they are 3.5, 4, like Quarantine did. But now we're turning back down into a thicket, so we're going to try and see if we can't just keep up with him. While we do that, Byron's now on his quest to keep his list going in the bird challenge by looking for the more nocturnal species.
Well, let's hope so, Tristan. Let's hope so. I hope you get to stick with young Hosana for a little bit longer. I am a bit jealous, though, that Tristan got to see a leopard. Oh, well, that's the way it goes sometimes. Maybe we'll have luck tomorrow. I'm scanning the trees at the moment for little owls. Also this drainage line. You never know. Something could pop out at any moment. It's chilly, Sebastian. I think the jacket needs to come on too. Shall I try to do it while I'm driving? Look at that, hey? Years of experience. Justin, you asked for my tip of the day. Now, I haven't really been giving tips of the day for quite a while. I wouldn't say I ran out of them, but it gets difficult. I've tried very hard not to repeat myself. But a lot of the tips I've been giving over the past few months, it's all bush related and so on. But I think my tip of the day is, with Hosana being in the camp, when you do come out on safari, if there are animals in camp, please don't think you can just go and approach them. They are still wild animals, and you have to be very aware and very alert of what's going on around you in the camp. That's why most camps, they'll have security guards, like a security escort that will take you to a room and back to dinner in the evenings especially, or a guide. But just remember that don't approach the animals. That's the most important thing. Always be very, very careful. So that's my tip of the day, Justin. a fork-tailed drongo over here. Just flew off. Sorry, sir, that just flew off. 'Cause we haven't actually got one of those on camera yet. I don't think. No, we haven't. I'm going to start needing the spotlight shortly, I think. The light is dropping, but or getting darker, but it's not nearly dark enough for a spotlight just yet. Maybe we just continue looking for silhouettes of owls in the trees. Maybe a little pearl-spotted owl, or a Scops owl, or a barred owlet. Jish, Patrick, southern white-faced owl. You asked, can I find one of those? No, I'd love to, and I will try. Patrick, I actually heard one last night outside camp. There was one around camp, actually early evening. There was one calling. Love to find one of those. They've got a beautiful call. Let me see if I can do it. How's that? Something like that. Not quite. Let me play it for you rather. It's safer. The owl. Listen to this call quickly. Sounds close, I suppose. Wonderful sound, wonderful call. That's the southern white-faced Scops owl. Much larger than the Scops owl, but that's a lovely picture. Look at that bird. It's a lovely owl. Now, we've seen them on Safari Live before, a few times. Look at that. That's an awesome owl. Very wise-looking owl, don't you think? Some hardy-daws calling. Suppose we need to get hardy-daws. Where are they? Flying. There they go. Quickly get the hardy-daws. Will you get them? Just the silhouettes of hardy-daws. There they go. All right, let's go back to Tristan with Hosana.
Well, that's the last glimpse of Hosana that we're going to get as he slinks off in a westerly direction, deeper into Little Gowrie and Wessels. And we're right on the cut line of those two properties, and he's now slinking off into that area, and we soon will lose visual of him as his spots take over and the camouflage sets in, so we will start to not see him anymore. You can see he's quite a long way already, and he's following a nyala, that same nyala that saw him and ran. He's caught up with it again, and it ran again because he was a little bit brazen in his approach, and he's still following it. It seemed to have crossed over here, so I wish him best of luck as he follows that nyala into the deeper into the thickets and into the setting sun. But wasn't that special, guys? What an amazing afternoon. Going in and out of the lodge and up that termite mound with that setting sun, absolutely wonderful. So very, very nice to catch up with the little prince and see that expanding and checking out new areas. Although he did come here, he's been coming here for quite some time. I remember that there was a sighting of him and Tundi and Tumba not too far from where we are now. Ahead here after Krula disappeared, so they have been spending a little bit of time down this side and we actually even realize. But lovely that we were able to catch up with him, and hopefully Ari.
Oh dear, so it sounds like Tristan just lost some signal there, unfortunately. Probably just going through a dip. Fowls. Now have a look at the moon, everyone. I wonder if we'll be able to see it. Look at that. Beautiful sliver in the sky. That's lovely. Now, I suppose it's almost right, but my friend Judas, the Shangaan tracker I used to work with, he would always tell me that if the moon was illuminated right at the bottom like that, just the bottom side when it was starting to, well, you call it waxing, when the moon starts increasing, when you start seeing more of the moon, so the light and obviously the way it rotates, you start seeing more of it. But he would say that in the Shangaan culture, this would be good luck if you saw the moon illuminated from the bottom like that, almost like a smiley face, I suppose. So that's, he would always say, oh no, that's good luck. So maybe we've got some luck on our side for the next few days because of that moon. Rashni, you were asking what or who inspired me to get into the bush or into this profession. Rashni, I think I'd have to say my family, my parents. Both my mom and dad. It was actually funny. So my mom and dad, when they got married, my mom used to go up to game reserves quite regularly as a youngster, and my dad had never been. He grew up on the beach. And when they got married, they came up to the Kruger for the first time, and they were so excited. They loved it, and my dad fell in love with the wild. He's actually involved with wildlife and guiding, in fact, today. So he's, yeah, I think just from them taking me to the bush and spending so much time out there, and they definitely influenced me a little bit, just in terms of, I think, building a love for nature, and but not just that. It's, guiding is not just the animals; it's the people too. You're interacting with people all the time. So I enjoy that. I enjoy interacting with people and taking people out on safari and hopefully, educating them a little bit more on Africa and the wildlife. So what better profession than this to, get the best of both worlds, really. I'm looking forward to September. I've got another safari coming up with guests. We are going to Londolozi, so I'm very excited to get back there, and we're going to be guiding down there for a whole week. So a nice long safari with guests. Giannis, now you're saying you're currently studying accounting, and you want to then perhaps move into the wildlife profession. You can always count animals, Giannis. I'm joking, but you asked what is I would definitely suggest the guiding, especially if you enjoy working with people. Obviously, as a guide, you do need to be not of a people's person. I think you can learn the rest, the knowledge, and that will come to you with time, and the more time you spend in the bush and the experience you have. But working with people is difficult to teach, I think. So, but if you enjoy that, then definitely go into guiding. Some people, Giannis, some people do it for a year or two just to get a nice bush fix, and then they leave and go back to the city. A few of my friends did that. Some guys that I worked with, started training with, they were qualified accountants, and they worked in the bush with me for 2 or 3 years, then left and went back to the city, to the corporate environment. But they did get their bush fix of working in the bush for a few years. So nothing wrong with that. This little spotlight of ours, I think we need to try and invest in some new spotlights. Yeah, oh dear, this for some reason, I think this spotlight of ours has seen its last days for some reason. Come on, where is a little owl for us? Alright, well, sounds like Tristan has left Hosana, and so he had that wonderful leopard sighting. And if I know Tristan, is probably racing back towards camp, getting ready for dinner.
Sometimes dealing with him is a difficult process. His mom and dad must have had a tough time when he was a kid, but it's a shame. It's not their fault. Some of them is just a lost cause, and you can't really do much about it. Now, we're sitting here on Gowrie, and we have this view down towards the western horizon, and unfortunately, besides the power lines which are running there, so please excuse those, forget about the power lines, but you see there is this magnificent sunset that is taking place at the moment. There is this kind of layered effect to the sunset, and that is all because of a massive fire that seems to be raging in the distance. So Senzo will show you that shortly. Now, there we go. So there is the fire there in the distance, and it's creating these layers of smoke that are lifting up through the layers of the sky, and each one is grabbing a little bit of light, and it's creating this wonderful sort of dark, dingy, yellowy orange light coming off of that side. It's even as much smoke that it's blocked the Drakensberg mountain view. Normally from here you'll see the Drakensberg mountains quite clearly, so very pretty though to have a look. Like I say, excuse the power lines because that's not part of what we were looking at. It was just the smoke and the colors that were coming from it. Now we're slowly just moving along, just checking to see what else there is out here, but we've had such a wonderful afternoon that I really am not too phased if we see anything else. We've seen Ellies and leopard, which continues the theme of my past few weeks. I've been so lucky in that I've spent a lot of time with both in the last few weeks, which has been fantastic. Laurie, wondering if our drainage lines flow and have water in the wet season, or is it only during our floods? Laurie, it depends on the drainage line, depends on how big they are. The Mulawati held water last year. We most certainly weren't in a flood year last year. We just had a bit of rain that came down and it flooded through, so it's a seasonal river that flows, whereas something like this drainage line that's just on my right hand side here that flows into the Mulawati generally would only really be flowing if there was really serious flooding rain, and that's what picked it up. So in terms of actually most of them, the bigger drainage lines, seasonal, every kind of year when we get a good rain they'll flow through. They don't flow for long, but they will flow for a little bit. And then these smaller ones that are on my right hand side, well, they last a lot longer. What is this on the road? Oh, it's just a shadow. I thought for a second there was a leopard sitting on the road, but it's just a shadow of a tree that's out slightly, and it was casting this perfect little rounded pointed shape, which is often what a cat looks like in the dingy light of dusk. I suppose it's time to get my spotlights out as well, because I keep forgetting. Sama, you want to know where did the fire start? Well, that's outside the reserve, Sama, so I have no idea where it started, how it started, or where it actually is, but it's somewhere between us and the mountains. It looks like possibly in the community land somewhere, so it might have been somebody that's unfortunately left a fire unattended. It could have been an arson thing, or it could be guys that are actually burning on purpose, because sometimes you'll find that fires do just get started on purpose to burn certain sections. And in terms of when it started, well, today. So to see that much smoke would be that fire is still raging. I didn't notice it when we started our game drive, so it must have been during the course of this afternoon that it has gotten up, but it has been burning for quite some time because there's quite a lot of smoke on the horizon. There's varying bands of smoke in the different thermal layers, because as it's getting colder now, so you'll get thermal of that, which means that it must have been started early this afternoon. I would say around 4ish, 5ish, somewhere there. Now I've just gotten my spotlights out. I'm trying to see if I can't find any other nocturnal creatures as we slowly meander our way home. And while we do that, I believe Byron has had a similar idea and has also gotten his spotlights out, and hopefully he'll be able to find himself some nocturnal birds, or maybe even a chameleon for all of you.
Now, don't know about a chameleon. Sorry, I thought I heard something. There's a beautiful fiery-necked nightjar calling. Can you hear that? I'm sure you can. It's one of my favorite nocturnal sounds. There it is. Oh, did you get a glimpse of it? It just flew. Might have seen it. There it goes. Oh, it just flew over us.
Yeah.
Did you see it though in the screen though? You can see it. Fiery neck nightjar. I'm going to tick that. It counts. Very brief silhouette, but it was indeed the fiery neck nightjar. What do you all think? Does that count? It definitely counts. Now Megan now tells me I need one more bird to get to a quarter of a century. Are you sure, Megan? You know that's 25? Megan says she's sure this time. Thank you, Megs. That made me chuckle earlier. Wouldn't it be great just to find a honey badger running in the road in front of us? Come on. That would be a real treat. Honey badger, pangolin perhaps. Sharon, you asked for a black-bellied bustard. I'll definitely keep a lookout for a black-bellied bustard. I'm trying to think when last I saw one here. Sure, I haven't seen for a while. Try and find the black-bellied bustard though, tomorrow. I haven't seen bush babies out on drive for a while. I'm just thinking about the nocturnal animals we see. I haven't seen bush babies for a while. I heard some last night. Early in the evening close to camp. Ali, you asked if we get the bat hawk in South Africa. We do get bat hawk. I've never seen one though, Ali. Now I'm trying to think where they I think predominantly down the eastern side of South Africa. Let me just double check here for you quickly. Bat hawk. There we go. Let's just check it's, you know what, it's actually more up in Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and then just the northeastern part of South Africa, right up against the Mozambican border. Well, that's what it looks like. A beautiful bat hawk. I've never seen one. But yeah, we do get them out here. Now I'm just trying to check. Obviously the food, mostly small bats and birds, hence the name the bat hawk. But yeah, I've never seen one. I think they have been seen in Kruger. Oh, scrubhead. Oh, there's a little scrubhead just in front of us. Can you see it there? Oh. Sorry, let me just... Can you see that? Oh, there he is. There we go. Little scrub hair. Oh, isn't that cute? Sure. Oh, wonderful. Oh, always nice to see these little nocturnal animals. The scrub hair is coming out. It's amazing how that infrared, I mean, it's pitch dark for us now, and we can still see that clearly. Oh, hang on. Tristan's got something he wants to show you.
Well, look at our little bush baby. There it is, poking its head up. As I've said, bush baby, just to show you where it is. It's stuck in the middle of that tree, and they're starting to come out now to start their nocturnal movements. Now, I've lost it. There it is. It's low down on that tree. You can just see the long tail that's out. So this is the lesser bush baby. Oh, where have you gone now? I'm so busy watching my monitor to try to see where it is that I've lost it now. But somewhere in that thicket is where our bush baby has disappeared. But really cool to see one. Now, Nancy, you wanted to know what a bush baby is. Well, bush babies are basically nocturnal primates. That's what they are. So they come out at night, they spend their day hidden, and then at night they come out and they start jumping from tree to tree to find food. Either they're going to feed off insects that are moving around, but what they will do is also farm trees. And when I say farm trees, is that they'll go and they'll bite a tree, particularly sap-producing trees like the terminalias that we get in this area. There's another one. There's actually two. See it there, Senzo? There it is, on the bottom. There, it's jumped. So there's another one that's just joined. I don't know where it's gone now. There it is. It's just on the edge of that tree. Where has it gone now? There we go. It just pokes its head out every now and then. There we go. So can you see it there? It's just on the back side of that. There it goes. So they come out, and I was saying that they farm the trees. So what they'll do is they feed on the tree, and then they'll leave it, and they'll only come back to it the following night. This poor bush baby's giving Senzo the runaround. And the following night, the sap has then run out, and they'll be able to feed off it. So they are big exponents of sap on trees. That's what they really love to feed off. And you'll find that these little guys can jump and visit over 1,000 trees in a single night. And it just shows you how active they are. You can see already by this one, the way it's jumping all over the place, that they are very active creatures. There it goes, Senzo. It's going across to the left. You'll see it moving from treetop to treetop. It's almost got like hydraulic legs, and there's huge amounts of power in those small little muscular tiny legs, and they're able to then launch themselves from tree to tree as they go. And if there's a gap between the trees, well, then they just bounce around between it. So almost kind of lemur-like as they come down and then bounce on the ground towards the next tree. It's just hiding behind that branch there. You can see its tail and its ears moving up a little bit, Senzo. There we go. There's its head and tail just behind the branch itself. This is probably one of the longest bush baby sightings I've had in a long time. Not the closest, but definitely one of the longest. Now, Laramo, you say they're so quick. Well, yes, they're certainly giving Senzo a run for his money. It's not easy to follow these guys at night. Remember, Senzo's looking through a tiny little screen on his camera, so not easy to follow them at all. So well done, Senzo. That's very good. Justin, you want to know if I've got any bush baby horror stories? Let me think. I do remember once being peed on at dinner with guests by a bush baby. So we had a bush baby at Lion Sands that used to come to our Boma dinner, and it used to sit in the big jackalberry that hung over the tables, and I was sitting there feeding, and it once then peed on my head and on my plate of food, which was not a very pleasant experience at all. But that was a different species. That's a different species of bush baby. This is the lesser Gallagher, and that was the thick-tailed bush baby, which is probably about 10 times the size of these little guys. So it was quite a lot of urine and not very fun at all. But a funny story nonetheless, and, well, everybody else thought it was hysterical. Then, thinking of other horror stories, my brother has a nice horror story. He used to have a friend that had a bush baby that was orphaned, and they grew with it, and they looked after it and kind of raised this little bush baby. And unfortunately, this bush baby was quite a handful, and its name was Monster because of its fact that it was a little handful. And then it came and bit my brother on the back here. It latched onto him and cut him and bit him 22 times and drew quite a bit of blood. So they are quite hectic little things when they want to be, and so you've got to be a little bit careful of them, and they've got seriously sharp teeth when they want to. The other problem with bush babies is that anyone that I know that's actually had them is generally you've got to get used to the fact that you're just going to be covered in their urine. The reason why is because they pee on their hands. It makes their hands quite tacky, and it allows them to grip themselves, so they pee on their hands and then they come climb all over you, and you just get little urine stains all over your clothes. It's really not that much fun. So those are my horror stories about about bush babies. Hopefully that will be the last of them. I really don't want any more. They can be quite feisty when they want to. Now, there's one person out here that I'm sure a bush baby is far too scared to go anywhere near. When Byron just flexes his muscles, the bush babies run for cover. But let's go across in case he does have any horror stories.
Tristan, you make me laugh, but I can't believe a bush baby attacked your brother. What did he do wrong that the bush baby attacked him? That's amazing. Sure. It's I haven't heard of that before. No, I've never had a bush baby horror story. Well, not yet anyway. Never know. Could get attacked on the way home. Assaulted by a bush baby. Sure. Megan asked what my horror stories are. Trying to think. When I was training, I had to put up with James early in the morning. That's a bit of a horror story, I think. I don't have horror stories that I can think of right now. Seb, do you have one? No. Yeah. Sebastian says animals love us. We don't have horror stories. Well, not quite a horror story, but I got a bit of a fright once. I was in the Boma having dinner with guests, and we were sitting there, and the next thing, a hyena ran straight through the Boma, straight through the dinner area, past all the guests, and that was a bit of a fright because, I mean, if a hyena decides that it's threatened or surrounded, I mean, they can get very aggressive. And they can seriously, they can do a lot of damage, especially to us. So I got a bit of a fright, and I just stood there and watched this hyena run right past us. After the fact, I said to everyone, don't worry, it's okay. But I did get a bit of a fright, this hyena running past. But not real horror stories. I'm struggling to find an owl or anything nocturnal for that matter. Anyway, luckily Tristan's still out. He managed to find some more elephant in infrared.
We have especially a little cute elephant with black eyes. It looks very scary. It's almost like it's got its Halloween costume on with its dark eyeshadow, and it's trying to look like a ghost as it goes through. But we can hear some hyenas now as well. And hyenas sound like they're quite far in the distance. Maybe somewhere towards the dam or towards Djuma and that area. Maybe if we quickly run up towards quarantine, we can try and find this hyena that's vocalizing. Since our Ellies are disappearing into the dark, you'll see that we're using our IR at the moment. We don't have the IR light on. It was a little quick to get the IR light on for our Ellies, but we do have the capability of just going into IR mode, which allows us to actually see a lot better in the dark. But I'm going to try to see if I can't find this hyena. It's calling somewhere up ahead of me here. So man, you want to know how eerie it is to drive at this time of the day when it's so dark? Well, not really that eerie, given that our vehicles are like spaceships in that they've got lights from every conceivable corner and you can see all around you, so it's not too bad at all. I find it's far more eerie when you get misty or cold, rainy nights and then you're driving along and you're wet and you're miserable and the lights only shine a little way. Then it's a little bit on the eerie side, but like now it's fun. I enjoy it. There's lots of surprises predators that are out at night, and it's exciting to try and spot lots of little nocturnal things and see what interesting animals we can find under the cover of darkness. So I don't get that eerie feeling now. It's more like an excitable feeling, because we know that things start to come out now. The lions and the leopards start to get active, and all the little nocturnal predators start moving around. So I have a rather excited feeling than an eerie feeling. But when it's rainy and cold and it's all very close, then it does get very eerie. Or if you start early in the morning and you've got serious mist or fog that's down here, then it becomes quite difficult. Now, where are you, hyena? I know you're here somewhere. You were calling from this area. No, you're a duiker, not a hyena. So I was just trying to see. There's another duiker over there. So don't think hyena is calling from right next to the duiker. I'm sure it's somewhere on my right-hand side here, given the sound was coming from that area. Sounds like somewhere around Djuma Dam, Quarantine, that particular section. So I'm just trying to get up that area as quick as possible. Maybe we'll find these hyenas on the road. Hyenas do like to use roads at night. We'll find that they travel on them, much like most of the cats. Much easier to move on a road than it is to move through the thickets and the dense brush where there's bits of grass hitting you in the face, unless of course they're on the scent of something. So if they're following maybe a scent of a leopard, or they're following a scent of something that might be feasibly dead, then they will be in the thickets, but generally on the road themselves. So it's always good to check roads and to scan down the roads when you get to junctions. So now when we get to this road that intersects on our right hand side, we'll just have a little quick shine down there in case they're calling from that area. No, nothing that I can see there. I don't know where Byron is, but if Byron's anywhere near Twin Dams Road, it might be worth checking that side, because it sounded like a little bit more to the east from where I am. But you never know. It'd be nice to finish with a hyena. It seems as though we're seeing so much of Intima and Gwen and the cubs, but it would be nice to see Ribbon and Corky and Comet even in the male side of things, and maybe even Madam. Those would all be nice. Pretty, all of those hyenas. I haven't seen them in so long. It would be nice for some of them to pop out. Also, it would be nice just to know who is still around, given that we had the one die up in Buffelshoek and one at Little Gari as well, so it'd be nice to know which one is which. Now, Karen, you say last minute leopard. Why not? Let's throw it out into the universe. Come on, Tingana, onto Quarantine for us. Let's see if we can find you. So hopefully Tingana will pop out. He is Mr. Last Minute Leopard, but we won't say no to any of the others. So Tandi, Shongile. Although I do hope that whoever it is that pops out, they pop out in the spotlight of Byron, because I'd really like for him to see a leopard. I don't think he's seen one since he's arrived, so it would be nice for him to get a leopard and to know that he's driven and looked, and he just certainly deserves one. So if there's going to be a last minute leopard, let's pray that it's with Byron, because I've had my leopard fixed for today. Not that I would complain if I saw another one, but I would prefer it if Byron got one. That's for sure. Alright, unfortunately no sign of my hyena anywhere in this area. I'm going to quickly just scan around Quarantine, and while I do that, let's go across to Byron so he can whip out that last minute leopard we've been talking about.
Oh, thank you, Tristan. That would be great. That really would be great. Last minute leopard. What a nice surprise that would be. So I'm having a look everywhere. You never know. You never know. These animals, nocturnal animals, often come out and then walk on the roads at night, and a lot of the predators do too. Just a nice big pathway for them. I'm trying to look for any sign of any little, who knows, maybe even a little civet pops out. That would be great. I mentioned to you I did see one while I was away in the Timbavati. Chitty Meg, you asked if we've got leopard in Johannesburg. No, we don't. We don't. Not at all. There was, I'm trying to think, in the mountains near Johannesburg, just outside of Johannesburg, there was the reports of like the odd leopard track or something, but I don't think they get seen if they are in that area. There's maybe one or two in the Magaliesberg mountain range. That's just outside of Johannesburg, not far, about 45 minutes drive. Possibly leopards around there back in the day, but I doubt there are any left in that area. You never know. Leopards, I mean, they are down in the Cape, not quite Cape Town, but outside in the mountains. are leopards around. It's been a lovely day. I've really enjoyed it. We've seen quite a number of bird species, and elephant, Tristan with that leopard, and obviously everyone in the Mara. There's so much going on there constantly, which is wonderful. Lions and cheetah and elephant. Can you see through there, Seb? Oh, I think it's a nightjar. Don't worry, Seb. I just caught the eye. I thought it might have been a bush baby, because they've both got very large nocturnal eyes. Sorry, Megs, can you just repeat that question again? I missed it. Okay, all right. Let's go across to Tristan, who's found something in the grass. Let's see what it is.
We found our resident white-tailed mongoose of quarantine open areas. You can see where it gets its name, white-tailed mongoose. Look at the size of that big white fluffy tail, and there he goes trotting off into the thicket. I'll try to see if we can keep up with him. There he goes. So bouncing away in typical mongoose fashion. I always love how mongoose run. They have this very fast trot as they bounce around. But let's try get round, because there is a road that it's running towards, and we might be able to get a better view of it. But really cool to see. Where did you go? Senzo, did you see if he crossed the road or not? Not yet. Where did you go, little mongoose? Now, this is the largest mongoose we see in this particular area. We don't get any that are larger than this. They are as big as they get, and generally solitary. Sometimes you will find them in a pair together, or even with their offspring. So I don't know where it's run to now. Senzo says it didn't cross, but I've lost it. Must have gone across the road. Oh, there it is. There it is. So it's running across on the other side. It's covered a lot more ground than I thought. So obviously with the car starting, it's then moved off, and it's just gone behind that mound. So let's try to go to the right of it. Snorky Maiden, you say this is your first mongoose that you've seen. Well, white-tailed mongoose, I would imagine, because I'm sure you saw the dwarf mongoose with Byron earlier. Now it's just in the edge of the spotlight. The spotlight's light is enough to illuminate with the IR mode. You can see it slinking through the grass, that dark shape there. It's amazing how well they actually do camouflage. And you can see how it's using the shadow of the termite mound. It keeps going behind the termite mound. You see? There we go. So it's using the mound to hide from us. So if it's going to be distressed like that, then we're not going to follow it any further. We're going to leave it there. We've certainly been very lucky to at least have spotted it. Well, that was wonderful, wasn't it? Now, we're going to start heading home. As Byron says, I suppose I should start getting home to go and feed. And, well, I'm sure he wants to feed himself too and wants to head home. Before we do that, he needs to say goodbye to all of you. So let's go across the line.
Now, look what we found, everyone. Looks like a spotted thickney. Yeah, walking around. That's lovely. That's a nice little bird to add to the list. Spotted thickney. And they are nocturnal, larger eyes. See that? And probably looking for some insects running around on the ground. Oh, that's lovely. I'm just going to turn the lights off so we don't harm its eyes too much. There we go. We've still got some infrared on it. Oh, sure. How's that flash? Oh, what a wonderful afternoon. I hope all of you enjoyed it as much as we did. And don't forget, we'll see you again tomorrow on our sunrise safari. Thank you very much, Big Boss Man Tristan and Senzo and Sebastian with me this afternoon. And everyone in the Mara, thank you all. And the ladies in Final Control, obviously. And thank you, everyone, for your questions and comments. We'll see you all tomorrow on the Sunrise Safari. Have a wonderful day or evening, wherever you are in the world. Good night and goodbye from Djuma, everyone.